when I made a video out and what I
Mm,
thought about it. I'm sure you watched the video here on the charge. And if you haven't, go and check it out.
yep.
So shameless plug here. Again, I talk about it when it broke. But let's talk about it from just your perspective, Pete. I mean, let's go. Let's start with you. What do you think about this contract extension? Are you happy about it? Are you disappointed in it? What's your opinion?
As an anti-Lakers person in general, right? Like most people who are not
Mm-hmm.
from Los Angeles, I can't help but be a little disappointed just because I would have liked to see him go somewhere else for the last couple of years of his career.
Mm-hmm.
But I think more than anything, I was just really surprised and interested by the timing of it. Like it really kind of came out of nowhere from
Yeah.
the places I was looking and the people, I talked to and just our conversations. It wasn't even something that seemed like a reasonable event to be even discussed, from everything that was out there. I think the one thing that it just goes to show is how nonsense most of the news we hear is, as far as NBA media is concerned. We hear about all this just dysfunction and all these people are, subtweeting each other and Jeannie
Mm-hmm.
Buss is subtweeting LeBron and all this stuff, right? This is one of those moments where I think any rational person should look back and say, oh my God, I sat there and I worried about all this stuff and I talked about it and I thought about it and none of it mattered because none of
Yeah.
these people actually talked to LeBron James or his camp or Rich Paul or the Lakers front office. None of these people are talking to these people. They're just making assumptions. And that's really, I think, one of the most damaging parts of NBA media nowadays is just how little the connections actually are between these reporters and the people they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, in that sense, I think it's really fascinating, like what this says about ESPN and all these people who report about this stuff all the days, and just how worthless most of it is. But I was actually super interested in like, what does this mean for LeBron? Like, what's his rationale between or behind signing this contract? And I'm curious because you told me you think it means Kyrie's coming, right? Is that's your rationale, or you think
Well,
it kind of leads that way a little bit more?
I think it leads that way just a little bit because when I think about, LeBron James, I mean, this contract kind of says it best from Windhorst, who again has been a little bit exaggerating at times when it comes to talking about LeBron James. Uh,
Yep.
I think the reason why I say that is because Windhorst kind of says it here. LeBron James's belief in Lakers facilitated the contract. So I think that there is a plan in place because I don't think that LeBron James, again, I've talked about this before in terms of two facets, right? I said the reason why I think that he is probably going to stay in LA over anything, and the reason why he probably signed it at the beginning was because of the fact that his family is accustomed to the area, right? His sons play at
Yep.
Sierra Canyon. Bryce is going to be there for a couple years. He's got a daughter, Zuri, who's going to probably go to Sierra Canyon as well. Probably stay in the area. Maybe she doesn't go to Sierra Canyon. Maybe she goes somewhere else. But they love the area, the LA area, and it's a great place for LeBron James to do his business while also playing basketball. So from that perspective, I think that's number one. Number two, I think the Lakers promised him a couple different things. I think they probably promised him, hey, we're going to try our best to get a superstar. And then two, which is what he talked with Darvin Ham about, which is, hey, I need my number one guy. And if you think it's Anthony Davis, let's continue going through him. If it's not, let's try to facilitate something where we get a better player. Or, a player that's more consistent, I should say, not necessarily better.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. When it comes down to it, I think probably part of it too was assurance that Westbrook is not going to be back in any way, shape, or form. I would imagine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whether that means they use the picks to trade him or not, I don't necessarily think that makes any difference, right?
Yeah.
It's more a matter of like, even if he's still on the team, he won't be there. I think that had to be part of it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. I think it also probably speaks to where LeBron believes he's at in his career.
Mm-hmm.
What good is it for him to go and redo all the same hassle of announcing a new team and signing a big contract in a new city and setting himself and his family up at this stage of his career? It probably just doesn't make any sense to him where he's at. But I'm fascinated if it means the discourse between LeBron and the front office is going to be a little bit more aligned. I'm interested to see if this leads to more LeBron like signings, or if this is one of those things of him actually just like, hey, give me the contract,
Yeah.
get rid of this guy, and we're good.
Mm-hmm.
We're good at that. And I think that's probably what it is. And again, it goes back to what we were talking about with Anthony Davis earlier, right? Like, LeBron truly seems to believe in Anthony Davis. Like, whether you yourself believe in Anthony Davis, it seems like LeBron really does, because he's shown it year after year since he's come to LA. So that to me is actually one of the more fascinating, like, interpersonal relationships in the league, because I think a lot of people have lost a lot of trust in AD, specifically Lakers fans and just people who have these high expectations for him on the court. But it doesn't seem like LeBron has wavered in his faith of AD at all. And I think that's pretty fascinating, because we've seen LeBron not do that for a lot of people throughout his career. We've seen that be the opposite for a lot of situations. So I'm interested to see if this is one of those things where maybe LeBron is just like, if I do buy into this team a little bit more and show that I'm committed more to this team, maybe that's all the difference. Maybe it's just about the mentality of the team. So I love this locked in, no goofing around. Like, we're just going to get down to business. I'll sign the contract. I'm going to play basketball all off season, go to these games, and I'm ready for this season. I love it. I'm interested to see what it equates to.
Yeah, exactly. And let us people know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about the LeBron James story? Again, I've talked about it before. Again, I think that LeBron James, number one, is family. I think family is everything to him. So that's the reason why I think he decided to go the route that he did in terms of staying with the Lakers. But also, I think the Lakers probably offered some insurance policies for LeBron James. And again, as much as we would love to see him play for the Cavs, love him and Bronny to play for the Cavaliers, I think that this is a good situation for LeBron James himself to kind of realize, like, okay, this is, there is plans in place for us to get better. And again, it does come back to your point, Pete, of they're going to really have to trust Anthony Davis to really carry the offense and facilitate anything moving forward.
And the last thing I'll say too, and this is just maybe like a conspiracy theory, just aside, that's kind of that's what I'm good for on this channel. Just throwing out a little something, right? I'm curious too, if just the fact, not only is all his business and his family, everybody's set up in LA, right?
Yeah.
I'm interested if just the fact that he's in LA puts him in the best position to, because I truly think his number one priority beyond just like playing for championships is getting a team that he can be an owner of. Like, I really think that's what he's angling towards more than anything else. He's talked about it his whole career, right? I'm curious if just being in LA and the connections that he has there puts him in the best position to move directly into that part of his life after he retires from the Lakers. And I think maybe that's some of the assurance he's gotten from LA, from the Lakers, and the connections that they have. Maybe it's one of those things of, you sign here and let's just get this done, and we'll help you in any way we can to get that done when it comes time. So I'm pretty interested to see what the business side of LeBron James is going to be for the next few years.
Exactly. But with that being said, I think should that do it here for the charge today, and then we'll have to reconvene another time. I know
I think so.
We went pretty long on the conversation about most preview years, but I think that was a good conversation to have, and obviously we did a
yeah, I think it's critical. I think it's an important. The NBA has never been more talented and deep as it is right now. It just never has. So I think it's a big question, and a lot of people in this social media era get some lofty praise heaped on them, and it's one of those things where more players are put into prove it years than ever before, because there's so many good players, but also because people are more unreasonable nowadays than they probably ever have been. So I think it's an important conversation to have.
Exactly. But with that being said, guys, thank you once again for joining us here on The Charge, giving the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. We do appreciate you guys coming through. Pete, always great to have you on here. Great conversation.
My pleasure, brother. Thanks for having me.
And guys, remember that we will be live streaming tonight at 5. We're going to be watching the Pro-Am itself. So whether it's on Twitter so I can watch it with you guys, or whether it's commentating on it, we will be here live talking about it, watching it, whatever it might be. We will be here live talking about the NBA Pro-Am. I'm excited. I'm hyped. We're going to have some special guests on tonight. It's going to be our own version of the Pro-Am with our special guests. But I'm excited to continuing these basketball conversations, continuing talking about the sport because we love it so much. And I'm excited for you guys to tune in back here at 5 p.m. talking about the NBA live stream event, the Pro-Am, here in Seattle, Washington. Anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie. This is Pete. And we'll catch you guys
Peace.
on the next episode. Peace.